Hey, everybody. This is your daily dose of all things royal. Welcome back, my gorgeous, good looking friends. So, yesterday happened. Thank God it's over, and hopefully they have left the city. But there was one part of this session that I thought to bring today in a video to show you exactly what this couple's ulterior motive is with doing this, and it's quite sinister. So, I'm going to meet my audience halfway, as I know that many of you hate the sound of her voice like I do. So I'm going to go ahead and read out some of the things that she said in this session that they held of nothingness and point out where there is virtue signaling, where there is no value added whatsoever, and then the hidden agenda. But there will be one point in this video where you must listen to her voice and the way that she delivers this last sentence so you can understand where this is going and what they really have been doing. So get yourself comfortable and let's rip this 1 minute and 24 seconds apart. Part of the manipulation and deceitfulness of Meghan Markle is in the way that she purposely delivers her messages. So, for this session that was held by Farswell last minute, her virtue signaling has a lot of sugary phrases as well as softer tones and really just making it sound so caring and compassionate by using a lower octave and slower speech and even this eerie and creepy kind of way of whispering. Like I can't explain it, but it just makes my skin crawl. And I think you guys know what I'm talking about, just because we know how fake and what a liar this woman is. Anyhow, let me continue and read off the exact words that came out of this woman's mouth. And then I'll try and add maybe some of that sugary, sweet, soft tone to it for you to get the essence of how she delivered this message. And it's Tristan Harris, a friend of ours that we started working with a few years ago, founder of the Center for Humane Technology. And Tristan had said, just like when something is invented, let's take the car, for example. When the car was first invented, there wasn't a seatbelt. You could smoke inside your car. And what happened? People started to get hurt. People started to die. So you started to change the car. You would put in safeguards so that this new piece of something that is part of our evolution is adapting to keep people safe. Right now, even if you're veering off into the lane, maybe you're getting a little sleepy, it'd go beep, 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 bring you back to where you're safe. And so, as we watch the evolution of social media and the internet, what are those same modifications we need to make to ensure that just like that car, we're adapting to the time? Is because people are getting hurt and people, specifically children, are dying now. So, this stupid dingleberry thinks that because they modified or evolutionized the car, maybe taking away the ashtray in the car, has been saving lives for people. Well, let me break this news to you, Megan. Smokers are going to smoke if they want to smoke in their car. That hasn't stopped them. All they'll use is putting a cup in the tray holder and taking their ashes and putting it there. So that analogy is stupid. Now, bringing up the seatbelts, I wish she didn't go there because had Diana worn a seatbelt, then maybe she would still be alive today. But she didn't want to bring that topic up because we have to go along with the narrative that the paparazzi killed Harry's mum. And we don't want history repeating itself. Now, let's keep in mind that every time we see Meghan in a car, she's never wearing her seatbelt. So, Meghan, you sound like a jackass once again. Like this one for the alleged car chase. Or even better, how about the one where she's sitting in a car holding this so called child, Archie, thinking about getting the photo as opposed to his safety? Well, Megan, your argument falls flat. You're not really keeping your children safe, and I think you should be visited by a group called CPS for child endangerment and neglect, as nobody ever sees these kids, and you're away almost every single day without them. I don't know. Maybe that's a thought. Now, for this mumbo jumbo about their friend Tristan Harris, guess where he came from? He was straight out of the Netflix movie The Social Dilemma. Remember where Meghan took the I guess the analogy of users and drug addicts and applied it to people who use social media. I'm guessing that she was describing herself because she is an addict on social media and definitely needs help. She is the last person to be dictating on how to reform the internet. But anyhow, she talks about Tristan Harris as if they are like best friends. And, when you look at who these people are and what they have been doing and who they formerly worked for, you realize that this is all part of the tech bros, Silicon Valley, let's make money off of people once again by exploiting a trend that they created, such as causing the anxiety, filling the platform with ideology, and causing the fueling of this divisiveness and allowing for certain things to happen online, like spreading super misinformation, like what Meghan and Harry have done. But we can get into Tristan Harris at another time. But the analogy that Meghan's using about the seatbelts and the cars, I mean, obviously, this woman has no original thought of her own. So, of course, she piggybacks off of and mirrors her friend Tristan. And what I will do, I think, in a separate video is revisit that Time magazine interview that was done in the Time 100 back in the day when they were actually somewhat influential. I mean, this was right after Megxit in 2020, before all the lies started flowing in 2021 and the downfall of this couple. But anyhow, they went into depth about how they were trying to reform and come up with a solution to solve the social media online so-called hate, aka the truth coming out about this couple and the bad press that they had been receiving. We all know that their advocacy is not about helping the online community, but it's really about wiping off and silencing their critics. This has been painfully obvious almost on a daily basis since they came back to the United States and trying to control the media. People are not stupid, Megan. We see what you're doing. And now, what you say next in this clip really does hone in on what the ultimate agenda is for you and your dingleberry prince. Now, this is the warning. You're going to hear her grating voice, but it's important to hear how she delivers this.
How do we fix that? And I think it will take all of us on so many different levels, from grassroots level, of course, probably to policy, to be able to keep our families and our children safe. Of course, probably to policy.
Did you see how she stumbled there? It's because she knew what she was saying was ultimately what they are trying to do, and that's affect policy. With what is going on right now with all these laws, we know that they are behind the scenes, as you hear them saying, behind the scenes, quietly working with these organizations. Well, the reason why they're behind the scenes working quietly is because they're interfering with trying to take away our rights. And this is exactly the hidden agenda to Meghan and Harry. They want to penalize anyone that they deem or feel is committing some type of hate speech against them, ultimately putting down the law, but affecting so many and thinking that they are doing a good thing because if people are saying things about her, they might be saying things about other people. And if so, it helps other people, like how it's helping their ultimate agenda. Okay, the more the merrier. But in this case, you can see that she stumbles. And the reason why she stumbles is because she knows that this is not something she wants people to know about. So by saying probably affect policy, no, they are purposely affecting policy. So don't give us any of this BS because we see right through it. At least I do. And I have called this out from 2021 when they were doing this shit. One of the core pillars in that Aspen report that Harry was a part of creating focuses on pushing policy and changing the behavior of people, whether it be taking away some of their freedoms. We all know you can look through that report, but he is directly interfering with our freedom of speech. And people don't seem to put two and two together that this soft, sugary speech is really underlying what they're trying to do. And the reason why they're targeting kids and these grieving parents is because they're vulnerable and they're at their weakest. They know that if they go up against people like myself who are educated and actually can critically think for themselves, they're going to get pushback. It is a very sneaky and manipulative way that these two operate, and I don't trust them as far as I see them. And neither should you. Now, I was watching the Duchess of SUSSEX video last night. If you don't know this channel, I highly recommend you check it out because she is hysterical. And back in 2021, when I started Keep NYC Mega Trash Free, she was there helping me along because her and I pretty much have the same view of what they're trying to do here in America. From day one, we saw them from a mile away saying that these two really are here to undermine our civil rights. Anyhow, going back to this video, she ended up showing some footage that I hadn't seen before. And we were talking last night about if this convoy that Meghan and Harry so-called had displayed was actually true. And after looking through this footage, it is more ridiculous now than yesterday when I said, oh, yeah, they hired some Uber XLs. But when you look at this different footage, you realize that they went through enormous lengths to stage this and get this on camera to give off this impression. And I find that incredibly sad that if this couple is trying to talk about stopping the spread of misinformation, disinformation, and the lies that are being spread, then they really need to start with themselves because these two are super spreaders of misinformation. This footage that was taken, if you notice in the corner, it says Probe Media for Daily Mail. Okay, so Probe Media went ahead and filmed this. Now, when you look at this footage, who had access to an aerial view in order to shoot this? And on top of it, the small little group of paparazzi just so happens to be in the shot. Let's all remember that this weekend was horrific in what happened in the Middle East. And right now, New York is under a heightened security watch, which means that there's more police on the streets. And, right in that area is on a heightened security watch, which means that there's more police on the streets. Now, talking to Duchess of Sussex yesterday, it is possible that maybe Meghan and Harry slipped $100 bill to give off this impression, maybe have, the cops that were in the area to just circle the block, which is what I believed happened. And then while this was being filmed and orchestrated, you had these hired paparazzi who are clumped together in a group, knowing where they are. I mean, this is not something that seems like, oh, the paparazzi just discovered where they are and one or two were able to get this footage. But no, this was clearly set up so they could film the moment with this so-called convoy that are Uber XLs going around the block for them to stage this impression that they have this global importance to the world. And this is why they need to be. When you look behind the police car that's flashing its lights, you see a Lexus pull out and then a car behind it. It's an actual SUV. Then enough distance away from the cop car then starts to put on these flashing red and white lights. Well, my friends, looking at this car and deducing it to the actual model, it's a Nissan. Now, in New York, there are no Nissans that are part of a New York City escort. Again, I'm telling you, the proper cars that do follow with any type of lights for signaling official, whether it be police or firemen, are American cars. They use Suburbans or they use Fords, and that's that. But a Nissan, this just shows me that they actually hired this person to be there. And if you notice, it is illegal to have these kind of flashing lights if it's not official. So, what makes complete sense was for them to wait, allow that Lexus to go in front of them so the cops don't see them turn on their lights. Because in the second clip, you can see the convoy or the fake convoy not have those flashing red and white lights on, and it's right behind the cop car. And my guess is the reason why they're not on is because the car would get pulled over and be fined because it is illegal. So now let's take a look at this probe media that Meghan and Harry hired that is located in New York. Now I'm guessing this time around Backred was not used because the jig was up and they were exposed for being set up in that way. So this is no different. So they went to probe media and about this agency. Not much is on this website except for the About Probe Media. It's a bit dodgy, but that's to be expected because we're talking about Meghan and Harry. And it says Probe Media is an elite agency that offers a bespoke service to international news outlets, intelligence agencies, and corporate and individual clients. Our small team of photographers bring a wealth of expertise and proven track record to covert operations, investigations, and breaking news stories and responds rapidly, professionally, and discreetly. Probe Media is the force behind a series of world exclusive in the celebrity, political, and corporate realms. Probe Media deals in exclusive material and provides images and video footage and reconnaissance in a service uniquely tailored to meet our clients' needs. Well, this sounds shady. I wonder if Meghan and Harry have invested in this company because it sure sounds like it's up their alley. Like, what do they mean by offering bespoke service to intelligence agencies? Also, using the word and proven track record to covert operations. Like, this doesn't sound legit, but it makes total sense because we see the whole band of photographers, probably hired by Probe Media to be there and having this aerial view. Like, of course, this was staged. Now, would any of you put it past them to not think of doing this? Absolutely, they would. I mean, we know time and time again, Meghan is the master of staging every single pap shoot that she has. Now, this would be no different. And considering looking at how dodgy all of this was and the way that they blasted this out to the public, showing off, this just makes you focus and say, yeah, something's not right. And I will call BS on this so called convoy in making themselves look like they were escorted by NYPD. Now, New Yorkers are not stupid. We know that this time around, this didn't happen. We didn't pay for it. And if this is Megan sticking up her two middle fingers at New Yorkers because we called and complained, well, I'm sticking them right back up at you, Megan, because I'm calling you out on your bullshit. Stop being such a liar and stop making yourself out to be so important because you're not. And the more of these games that you keep playing, the more you're going to get called out. And New York is not the place to be doing this because we can see bullshit from a mile away and we call bullshit on this. But thank you for giving us more material to criticize because you just are making yourself look worse and worse every time you pull these stupid, ridiculous stunts. You just look so desperate and pathetic, and it's not working for your so called rebranding. I don't know where you go next, but don't do it here again in New York City because we're going to call you out every single time. Now, for this last piece, I'm sorry, guys, but you have to hear it for yourself because I can't do it justice like she does in making herself look absolutely moronic.
But social media is not going away. And look, I think by design, there was an entry point that's supposed to be positive and creating community. And something has devolved. And there's no way to hear that and not try to help these families have their stories be heard. My husband and I often say if there's going to be so much focus on what we're doing, then to try to focus on what we're focusing on because their stories are what matter.
Who actually understood that? I mean, this last sentence that she said, my husband and I often say, if there's going to be so much focus on what we're doing, then to try to focus on what we're focusing on because their stories are what matters. What the hell does that even mean? Honestly, if these two allegedly had been working with these grieving families for over a year, how come none of their stories have been told? I mean, you can't say that you're trying to give people voices when you're actively trying to shut people down and make it about yourself. Megan, please do yourself a favor. Keep your mouth shut because the more you talk, the more ignorant and uneducated you sound. Please, you're not doing yourself any favors by spewing off these buzzwords like community because you have no concept of what it means to be part of a community. In fact, you have isolated yourself from the entire community. So stop trying to pretend that you're a royal here in the United States doing the very same work that you left in the UK. How about this, Megan? First, focus on that rabid fan base that you have that keeps spewing out hate at others. It's not us. It's not the so called anti Meghan hate accounts that you have labeled, which is subjective. Maybe some of you may want to send this last screenshot off to Carson Daly or Project Healthy Minds, maybe even the Surgeon General, to show them how kind and classy Megan is in cultivating such a wonderful group of fans who she has yet to denounce. Anyhow, I'm going to leave this here. You guys do what you will with it, but definitely share it around. And on that note, definitely leave your thoughts below. As always, I will be back with more content, but until then, please be safe, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.
I was such a fraud.